that's getting on for 5 years now. But obviously the intensity of it has been in the last year since we got confirmation of the funding, and since that moment, it's really good to know that we can do the show, and it's our production, so that's been great. Well, I suppose I've got really 3 roles within this. One is producer hat on, so I'm part of Outlines, the production company, and then equally as a writer. That's a 3-part thing with myself, Ewan and Jim. So there's that division of work there, and then also I've designed the set for the show. So that's one of my main focus when being in the rehearsals, just to make sure how the set's working and that's all sort of coming together. And anything else that's needed. Here we are at Eden Court Theatre in Jim Love's studio for the second week of the rehearsals for Whisky Kisses. It's been a long journey since we first, in fact in this building here, we met with Colin Marr in 2005 in January when he was talking about the launch of the Highland Quest competition, international competition, and we at that time thought, well, we really should go for it. As Highland writers, we should enter this competition, although at that point we had never even thought of writing a musical, never mind actually having done one. So we still thought it would be a good idea to enter the competition, and we had a few ideas on there's always a back catalogue, but fortunately by the beginning of this year we had the Arts Council money in place, and then additional funding from Highlands and Islands Enterprise, who gave us what they call a step-up grant, a one-off grant for this production only. It's to try and help companies really move forward and go that extra mile, which is exactly what we're doing with this production. And we also got some money from the Highland Culture Programme, which completed the funding that we needed for the production and tour. Yeah, there's an old adage that musicals are not written, they're rewritten, and that's certainly the case. But I mean, to be honest, we had a pretty secure script, and there are tweaks and like cuts of lines, and there's been a tiny little bit of rewriting here and there. You can write the words and you think that's hilariously funny or whatever, or that scene really works, but then when you get the company involved, get the actors involved, it just takes it in a different direction. And so far, they're just adding value to the thing every day. It's fantastic. Because both Ewan and Dave write different sets of lyrics, they have different ways of working at things. So, for example, one of the songs in the play, "The Moment Is Gone," which everybody regards as the hit, that was just a list of ideas from Dave. And the good thing about that was, well, the frustration about that was, nothing to get a handle on. But the good thing about that was you could actually sort of free flow. And that started off, in its first incarnation, was 6.5 minutes long. It's now about just under 3, because Dave and I spent eventually about 3 hours looking over 4 lines of music. And it needs that specificness. I'm thinking of keeping it interesting. So I don't tend to be all that keen on first chorus, then a wee break and something else. I want to do other things. And I'm thinking into the character, into the situation when I'm doing it. So I get a bit finicky after a while with placement of notes and changing things and putting in strange rhythms, which sometimes have led musical directors to sort of get a bit frustrated and say, well, what do you mean by this? They say, well, I mean that he's a bit bored. And in a way, that's in some ways not been a good thing, because I'm prescribing what the performance is. However, that's the way I work. But because of the way the process this has gone through, it starts with voice and piano, and then you get this wonderful orchestra in your head, and then you get a bass, drums, and violin, and that's your lot. And with this particular version, we've got basically a keyboard plus other things. You really have to whittle it right back and stop having these wonderful thoughts of 16-piece orchestras and things. But I think it has a real heart
And whatever sort of positivity it's got, which it has, and so-called feel-good, it's actually based in reality, and it's not there for, oh, let's make everybody leave the building in a happy frame of mind. Hopefully they're going to have gone and thought over a lot. I think it goes through a lot, this thing.
What I've been trying to create for them really is this idea that the audience are coming to a party. They're coming to a ceilidh. They're not coming to sit soberly in the auditorium, you know, munch on sweeties while they're watching this play. It's not like that at all. It's very much like a party in someone's front room. So that's the atmosphere I was trying to capture with the company, and hopefully that'll do it. It'll do the trick. Well, the major challenge is only having 3 weeks of rehearsals, and including to take it and put it on. I mean, normally, in normal circumstances, you would have 3 weeks and then another week, a technical week. And even then, that can sometimes be a push. The last show I did, it was barely enough time as well. So with this being a full musical, and a complicated musical at that, and quite a complex learn, it's really been a question of how to fit a square peg into a round hole in many ways. So luckily the cast are all very musical, they're all quite adept at, they've learned very well, they've studied very well, they've dedicated themselves to it, they're all exhausted, bless them. But it's been a case of just mapping out the show and then going straight to the point where one polishes it, rather than having a bit in between where we can fiddle around with it. So we're trying to do that all at the same time, and we're still doing it. Yeah, we open tomorrow night and we're still doing that. So but again, maybe 2 or 3 performances in front of an audience and they'll look like they've been doing it forever, you know. So that's been the challenge. Time is the biggest challenge. What's been interesting is finding all the journeys of all the characters and where the heart of the play is, about the fact that you know, things change, and but it doesn't necessarily mean that things are forgotten or things are lost.